So what you're looking at right here is your Microsoft Office 365 dashboard, and you will notice that the sway is highlighted. What you would do when you want to create a sway is actually click on this and you'll be taken to the sway dashboard. So as you're getting ready to go into the sway dashboard, you're going to see a number of options for you to choose from. Here are your templates, and you'll see that I'm scrolling down looking for a template because I'm going to kind of take you through just some options that you can do with sway. So here we go. We're going to go up and I'm going to choose one of the templates, the photo collage. Okay, so here you'll see just what it looks like when it first pops up. What you want to do is wait for it to prepare your template, and you can see that happening right now. And this is the design mode for your storyline. That looks a little bit different. So you'll see I'm using my iPad, so I'm pulling up my little keyboard and I'm giving it a name. And you'll probably see me make some mistakes, so I might cut those out, but there are actually directions in the templates, which is why I pulled up a template. So you can see right here it's telling you about how you can use it. I'm gonna just put a note that you should look to this for directions. One thing that you might be aware of with iPads, sometimes the inserting the photographs or other documents into this can be a little bit of a hassle, but I'm using an iPad because the students will be using iPads when they're doing e-learning, so I wanted to use something similar to what they were using just to show you some of the successes and failures they might run into. So this is just me adding a little bit extra on. What you have in front of you here are cards. They have some different ways you can use them. There's a heading card, there's different sections. And so down here, I'm gonna change the headings to match some of the things that we do in art. So I'm going to add some abstract art to that. And you'll notice I just basically, I wanted to insert a photo. So I pulled up abstract art, I clicked on the picture I wanted, and I said add. Okay. And I'm going to show you this a couple more times because it might be hard to see. And I'm going to change the name of this section, section 1, to abstract art, or abstract paintings, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to add a video right now, and so I'm clicking on this abstract painting for beginners and I'm hitting add. It's been added. Now I'm going to go back and you can see the video up in the card, but the monkey has to be eliminated because I didn't get rid of it. Now I took that out. So what I can have the student do in a case like this is just explain why the video is there. So watch this video to see how I learned to mix colors. So if you want your student to do research, this is a great way for them to include it. You can also see the link at the top. They could include a link, but I think videos are great when you can see them because they're it's helpful. The next thing I'm going to do is emphasize the word video. So you can see I've highlighted video and I've also used emphasize. The next thing I'm going to do is add another picture, and you can see that I've selected and now I'm adding another picture. I'm scrolling through the pictures looking for a picture to add. So if this was my own photo library of my own work or a student's photo library, they'd be scrolling through looking for a picture they might have taken of their own work. and they could select one of their own works to put in for a portfolio, for example. In this case, I'm just choosing from the stock photos, and I'm going to click and add that image, and you can see it's in the card. I'm going to delete the image of the zebra since it's not relevant, and you can see that I have the picture here, and I'm touching on it here so that I can put some focal points, which the sway will automatically emphasize when the design comes up later. So you can see that there's a card that has lots of typing on it, and this is where I would have the students write more about all of their work and their research, and that's what I'm typing in right now. So you can always have them talk about like their process or the elements and principles or whatever you want them to say about their work. You can still have them add links that link back to their work. And then up here next to the work, I usually would have the students just write a credit line. Most high school teachers know that there's the information about the artist, the title, the year, the medium, the size, and the location. I make my students put that on every work of art that's a finished piece because quite frankly it is a way for me to make sure that they put their name on their work, but it also gets them in the habit of documenting certain things and remembering vocabulary about medium and kind of being creative about a title, because that's one of the things where they're like, what do you mean title? So I like to have them think about those things. Okay, so there are 3 sections in this sway, and what I'm doing is I'm just doing a mock-up of some way you could have your students set it up. So for example, in high school we have some mandatory contests. We have the zoo contest and the African American portrait contest. So I'm just giving the labels to these next 2 sections, the zoo contest and the African American portrait contest, and showing some ways that you could have your students collect their work and hold it in one place if you wanted to use this as a portfolio, or even as a way for them to save documentation of their work or do research of their work. And so by having them contain their work in a certain space, that could be really helpful for the student and also for the teacher. So I'm just showing that here where you're labeling that. So if you decide to have your students do research, you can have them type in information for older students. I know younger students may not have that capability yet. They're not used to it. So sometimes if you're having them handwrite notes, they can still take pictures of those notes and upload them as images. Maybe an older student or a parent can help them type the notes into the cards if that is something that the teacher wants them to do. But the research part I think is really helpful, and that is something about this particular format that I think teachers can take really good advantage of and also help their students with their learning. And as you can see, I am typing it in. It's taking a little bit longer to type it than to say it. So this should be finished in just a minute, and then I'll be going on and showing you a couple more ways to do this before I show you how the format looks as the design. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just showing you how you can add more research information for the zoo contest. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to put endangered animals in the search box, and I'll be uploading a video for the for the zoo contest section. And you'll see I've just clicked it. I'm hitting add. It'll tell me that it's added. That's when the box turns green. I can see that it's not where I want it to be, so I'm gonna slide it. I'm gonna actually slide this up right under the text that you can see, and I'm just writing something that perhaps a student would write. I learned, and then whatever from watching this video. You can actually drag the boxes up and down. That's one of the things that I have noticed is a little bit difficult in the iPad version of this, so just be aware of that. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the African American Portrait Contest in high school that most high school teachers are familiar with. Typically in the African American Portrait Contest, the students should be looking up and researching information about the person that they're going to be creating a work of art about. So you can actually have them doing that, and Sway is a great tool for them to find information, and then they can also write about it in this format. It also, you're going to see how nice it looks in a couple minutes when I show you the design work. This part here, I think it would be safe to say is also more teacher directed. You're going to want to give them some parameters if you're asking them to do research in the beginning, because you're directing it more. But I think as you have them go forward, you would gradually release it where the student is taking on more ownership of that research knowledge. In this image, you're just seeing that a student is looking up famous African American blues singers, and they're just adding a video to their Sway. You'll see it show up, and then they're gonna again write down what they learned from the video, and then this would be more student directed, because as they watch the video, they're gonna be pulling out the highlights of what they learned, but it's also going to be based on your standard that you set. So they're going to be looking for the things that you told them to look for, but they should also be finding some things that they find interesting so that they're more engaged in the process of doing this project. Okay, so just showing you how it looks when all the pictures are in place. I want to show you what the actual design would look like once you see it. So here's an example of one way it might look in a horizontal orientation. So as you see it sliding by, you're seeing what the student has uploaded. In this case, it's just an example by me. You can see all the pictures and the videos and the different letters and the notes and things. But if you look over here on the right, you might want to change it up. So let's say we want to go vertical. Now it's going to change and you'd be sliding down to see the picture. Okay, so this is how it looks this way. And maybe you don't like the color background, you might want to switch it up and change the actual design of the Sway. So if you look over here, you can see a variety of options of how you might want to change the way the Sway looks. So I just picked a simple black background to see how that would look. And I like the vertical ones. I don't know why, it's just a simple preference for me. But your students have a lot of choices to look at these. I really think these are pretty cool the way they look. I prefer them over PowerPoints just because you have so many different options in presentation, and the students can get really creative with them. So that's just one of the reasons why I started trying to encourage the students to use them. So that's what it looks like.